Beginner-friendly mechanics. These days, developers of fighting games have been putting a lot of beginner-friendly mechanics into their fighting games to try to help ease beginners into their game, to make it feel like they're able to do stuff so that they'll keep playing and stick around with the game. But not to be the bearer of bad news, but I am here to tell you the harsh truth. Beginner-friendly mechanics don't work, and in fact are often more detrimental than actually helpful for beginners. This happens because of several different things, but let's just jump into an example right away of what I felt like was one of the most egregious examples of this. Now, this feature has been patched and it's not this bad anymore, but let's talk about the reversal edge from Soul Calibur 6. This move was designed to help beginners, but I feel like it failed to do so on so many levels. Let's talk about what a reversal edge actually is, okay? It's just an armored attack that while you're starting it up, it can absorb all attacks, whether it's horizontal or vertical. It can absorb high, mids, and lows. It even absorbed throws, okay? Even though the throws weren't an attack, it still absorbed throws. And on top of that, if you charged it all the way, it became an unblockable attack. So it was a catch-all move for beginners to help them on the defense. However, it's probably a big duh that this would be too powerful of a tool. The developers knew this. And so what they decided to do was to make it so that if you landed one of these reversal edges, it triggered this rock, paper, scissors mini game so that the outcome still wasn't determined, so that the person who got hit by the reversal edge could still end up doing damage. But they also knew that a straight up RPS mini game would be devoid of strategy, so they started adding other features like dodging, and they created a weighted RPS because some of and they also designed ways to beat the reversal edge for sure. They made it so that the reversal edges, once they get started, most characters got locked into performing the move. So since they were all verticals, you could just sidestep it, you could whiff punish it that way, you could call it out and defeat it with break. Look, there's a reason why I've kind of gone on in excruciating detail about what a reversal edge is, because just by listening to me try to describe them, what part of this is beginner friendly? I mean, you've already added so many caveats and so many extra parts to this thing. It's already more complex than anything you can actually label as beginner friendly. And why did they do this? Because they know that beginner friendly mechanics often fall under what I like to call the sniper rifle fallacy. I mean, I'm sure there's an official name for this because people have used this example a lot, but let's talk about an RPS game, for example. If you give a beginner a sniper rifle, they can definitely hide someplace, find someone who doesn't notice them, and shoot them from far away and get easy kills. That's great. And that's great for beginners to make them feel good about getting kills and stuff. But honestly, you take that same sniper rifle, you put it in the hands of a sniper rifle pro in an FPS, and they're just going to be destroying the beginner's just going to be walking along and bam, dead. They're going to be like, let me jump from here to bam, dead. I'm going to hide behind this script, bam, dead. Like, it sucks. It actually makes it worse for beginners because the weapon is clearly too powerful, and someone who's good will always be able to use it better than you. And so, like reversal edges, it almost kind of ended up, in this situation where it's better for experts. It actually helped experts beat beginners because they know the details of how to beat the reversal edges, but the beginners don't. Another problem with this is that in beginner versus beginner matches, the mechanic was overpowered, and it just basically, since it led to that really silly mini RPS game, it was really boring and repetitive, and for beginners not being able to defend against the fully charged reversal edge while was supposed to help the player using the move, it feels really shitty for the person on the receiving end of it. In fact, it was so annoying, it even made me quit. Soul Calibur 6 in Season 1 when I first tried to learn the game. And I don't think I'm the only one. In fact, there's a lot of people that I talk to whenever I play it these days. They're like, oh man, I play this game, but I quit because I hated reversal edges. Like, it literally did the exact opposite of what it was supposed to do. And again, as a caveat, I just want to mention that reversal edges have been patched. They're not nearly as bad as they were before. In fact, Soul Calibur 6 is currently one of my favorite fighting games. Play it, it's a good game. It's a good game, you should definitely play it. But even the fact that it had to be patched and fixed to the point where it's actually not a major part of the game leads into another big problem with beginner mechanics, because honestly they either end up in the sniper rifle fallacy where they're too strong in the hands of experts, or the complete opposite where they become absolutely useless. So let's move on to another beginner friendly mechanic that needs to be excised from all fighting games forever: the auto combo. This exists in almost every game these days, where you press one button and it automatically makes your character do this big old long combo. We've seen this in BB Tag, in King of Fighters 15, it's in Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's in the Under Night In-Birth series, it's in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. This is a terrible, terrible mechanic. Sure, it makes beginners feel cool, like they're doing some fancy... Actually, no, it doesn't actually make people, not even beginners, feel cool at all, because mashing one button for a combo does not feel good. This is why execution is so important in fighting games. Why it is 100% needed in fighting games to varying degrees. You need to have people feel rewarded for their effort and not rewarded for mashing. Even beginners don't get hype about landing auto combos because it doesn't feel good. They know it's not taking any effort, and so there's just, it doesn't resonate with them. It doesn't make it feel like they're actually doing something skillful. On top of that, with auto combos, you're teaching them the worst habit possible in fighting games. By adding this as a beginner-friendly mechanic, you are literally teaching people to mash buttons. And mashing in fighting games is almost always the wrong thing to do. Oftentimes, in fighting games, it's more about not pressing buttons, about, withholding your button presses and knowing when to hit the buttons and such. And here you are putting in a mechanic encouraging people to smash buttons all day. What is the point of this? Especially because nothing else in the game rewards that, right? Like, you take a look at something like King of Fighters 15, you take a look at something like Under Night In-Birth, smashing on one button multiple times in a row rarely does anything, if anything at all. There are no situations where mashing buttons actually helps outside of the auto combos, so what are you teaching them? At the highest level of play, nobody uses auto combos. So why did you put it in there as a beginner-friendly mechanic? It is literally useless. Your beginner-friendly mechanic is literally useless at the highest levels. This is bad game design. Because in the end, these mechanics are crutches and don't help teach the players anything about playing the game. Both reversal edges and auto combos have, some limited uses in high-level play, but in generally, they don't factor very greatly in most professional play at the highest level. So you are not guiding players to doing anything correctly. In fact, you're rewarding players for spamming moves that experts easily counter anyway, and mashing, which is antithetical to being good at fighting games. Stop making beginner-friendly mechanics. Look, if you do decide to make them, be sure to have them be mechanics that come into play even at higher levels, right? There are some instances where some people have done a decent job with this. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, for example, their auto combos are still used as a major portion of the combo system and strategy overall, even at the highest levels. But it's very rare that you can develop a mechanic that is useful for beginners and at the highest level that don't fall under the sniper rifle fallacy, right? Or they just become useless like the auto combos do. And so what are we supposed to do? If we're supposed to stop making beginner-friendly mechanics, devs, they feel like they have to put that in there to try to, appeal to players who don't know how to play fighting games, to give them a way to enjoy the game at lower levels. So if beginner-friendly mechanics don't work, what are they supposed to do? Well, the key phrase that I said was, enjoy the game. Here's the answer. Instead of making beginner-friendly mechanics, make beginner-friendly gameplay. What do I mean by this? Just design the game in a way that people understand they're doing something right, that lets them feel good about themselves. Small mini goals that are outside of just winning the matches. Even beginners can understand that reversal edges are kind of silly and that auto combos are skillless. Trust me, they're not having any fun doing this, okay? Maybe on a troll level, like they're like, hee, I can beat you. These are not the players that you're trying to appeal to, okay? This is not who beginner-friendly mechanics. People will find ways to troll with or without these mechanics. You have to make sure that the players are rewarded for doing something good so that they have a good time playing the game, even if they aren't winning. For example, like landing Jigglypuff's sleep attack in Smash Brothers, or smashing someone through a wall in Guilty Gear Strive, or even just parrying twice an EX Fireball in Third Strike. They need to feel cool about what they did, and beginner-friendly mechanics don't do that. So what exactly do I mean by beginner-friendly gameplay? Well, I think I've kind of rattled on long enough here and just kind of explained why I believe that beginner-friendly mechanics are just never going to work or will not accomplish what it is that you want. But beginner-friendly gameplay will. What I'm going to do here is stop here for now, and next week I'll continue forward with a whole separate video on exactly what I mean by beginner-friendly gameplay and how that will help people and help beginners enjoy the game, stick with the game, and definitely have a better time. So I hope you look forward to that coming soon. But in the meantime, definitely follow me on twitter.com/jchenzor and as well as twitch.tv/jchenzor. Hopefully I'm trying to get back into streaming some more fighting games and also some Tetris as well as a lot of other random games. So definitely check that out. But in the meantime, hope you enjoyed this first part about beginner-friendly mechanics and why they suck, and hopefully you'll tune in next week for part 2 of this discussion. See you guys then. Stay safe out there and take care.